Wow. Now, I got to tell you, that's unsettling hearing about this, but also reassuring at the same time, since we know that there are people like you and your colleagues who are taking care of these issues. Just listening to you, I was like, my God, on a daily basis, we trust people like you on a daily basis just by opening our cell phone, basically, by sending out emails, by doing, what do we have, mobile banking, by sending out text messages. We don't really think about the threats that come along with that, once again, because there are people in place who are taking care of it. Nevertheless, things we have to think about, especially on an industrial level. And we're going to get into this, a deeper dive now into the question where we are today in 2022 in terms of cybersecurity. And I'd like to expand this round now with the help of two gentlemen. On the one side, we have the Vice President of Horizontal Management Cybersecurity at Siemens Digital Industries, Michael Metzler. And we're also joined by the Senior Vice President of Digital Trust at Bosch, Christoph Peylo. Welcome to the stage, gentlemen.
Hey.
Welcome.
Hello.
Great to have you.
Thanks.
I don't know, do we do this? Do we just do this? We'll just wave. All right. Okay, so great to have you with us, gentlemen. Now, Natalia just spoke about Log4j, which made headlines at the end of last year, and how Siemens handles, of course, also today's dynamic threat landscape. Christoph, maybe you can tell us, how does Bosch perceive today's cyber attacks, and how does it deal with it on a daily basis?
Well, Bosch is in itself a very complex system. Wonderful, but complex. Because we provide technology for all kinds of businesses, for enterprises, and for private life as well. So our exposing factor is very high. Mm-hmm. And so we have to take care of. And have to take care of the most prominent attack vectors. And what are those most prominent attack vectors? It's basically complexity, due to complexity, because technology today is increasingly complex. So many people do not even understand the technology they use, and it's frightening, but many people who produce technology as well are not aware of the underlying threats here as well. And this information asymmetry makes it easier for attackers. In digital and in cyber, to attack it's easier than in the normal haptical world, because in the normal world you need a majority for attacking successfully. But it's different in the digital world. Their knowledge and this imbalance of information can be used by attackers. And we perceive three kinds of attackers mainly. People who have difficult, you could say unlawful, unethical business model, making their living by theft and ransomware, for instance, then state-sponsored attackers and hacktivists. And we are facing those attackers, those threats, and our defense strategy against that is fighting against this information imbalance. Mm-hmm. So understanding the technology in depth that we use and attacking the digital business models of the attackers. So increasing their failure rate and thus making their attacks more expensive. This, in a nutshell, is what we have to do here. Could you, in general, just say that the more complex, because you said Bosch is a fun but complex company, obviously, the more complex the company... Wonderful but complex.
Wonderful but complex. The more complex a company gets, the easier it is to attack from the outside? Or is that just a thought? If
you have a variety of products, our core belief is that we want to use technology for all aspects of life where people profit from that. So this invented for life. This is our paradigm. However, as a downside, our attack space and our exposing factor is higher.
Okay.
And so we have to be very good at that, what we do. And this is why we invest now so much in digital trust and making this digital products, trustworthy. Mm-hmm. Because this is the best protection, understanding, hardening, and investing in reliability and digital trust.
Now, staying secure isn't limited to large companies like Bosch or Siemens, for example. You also want to keep your customers secure.
Absolutely.
And Michael, I know that you deal with a lot of customers on a daily basis. What concerns them most?
Well, the customers I'm talking about, they're really aware of all the cyber attacks, and that's really increasing the cyber attacks, specifically in the days and weeks we are living in. But there's a difference, right, between the bigger companies and the SMEs, for example. The bigger companies like Bosch, for example, they have departments taking care of cybersecurity, right? Mm-hmm. They exactly know what to do, what are the processes. They basically need from us as Siemens our products, our secure products, right? This is for the large companies. For the SMEs, the small, medium enterprises, they basically maybe have one person taking care of cybersecurity, maybe as an add-on role, right, to regular topics he is doing. They need to have from us guidance. And this is what we can provide them, right? Because when I'm talking to SMEs, I'm always talking about holistic concepts, right? Like the plant security, the network security, and the system security, to have a multi-layer system. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to cybersecurity, and what I really tell them to do so. And it all starts basically, of course, on the one hand side with the products, but also on the other side with the services. We have huge experiences, and to the very start is basically a risk assessment.
Risk, I guess, is a good key word. I don't know. Is it all about risk management, maybe? Does that play a big role?
It is all about risk management. And risk management starts with knowing what kind of assets you have, which one of them are critical, which ones do you have to protect better than the others, because you cannot protect everything. Right? Back to my example of Log4j that I described, the first thing we did was to take care of the critical pieces in the infrastructure, the critical products for the customers, and so on and so forth.
So it's to prioritize.
I mentioned we have thousands of applications. So you have to identify what is the most critical. You also have to be very aware of what is the risk that you have. In some cases, you will have to accept some risk. And be prepared for that risk to take place. So yes, I mean, it's all about managing the risk and investing in the technology that you need in order to deal with that risk.
Now, I also know, I mean, you mentioned before, Natalia, you mentioned OT security, supply chain security, as well as the zero trust technology, which is also very important. Basically means that you're not even allowed to trust those who are verified, right?
No, you don't want to trust anyone.
Zero trust means zero trust. It doesn't matter if you belong to the company, if you don't, if you're verified, if you pass the test or not, you have to pass it.
You check it.
Again and again and again. Now, there are also other important components for a strong defense system. What would you add to that?
I would add this holistic concept, which I talked about, right? We call it defense in depth concept, which is the plant security system and the network security. This is basically our holistic concept and approach for cybersecurity for the OT area. And talking about zero trust, right? It's very new, specifically for the OT area. And the great thing about that is that it enriches with principles the defense in depth concept. So you are allowed, as Natalia showed, right, to access for only specific topics to the OT, for example. So it just started, but I think it's the right way to go ahead for a more secure future in the IT as also in the OT area.
Okay, so what do you guys think are the main or standard ways of reducing cyber risks in the first place?
Standard ways is a good topic. So basically, what is standard? Standard is our secure products, and I think we have here a lot of secure products here in the booth, because the customer expects basically when they are buying a controller out of the box that there are security features built in, right? And this is what we are exactly provide them. So we have security built in already in our products. So they make sure when they connect OT and IT world that it's a secure connection, right? And therefore, whenever there's a new update available, it will be on the controller. So they are always meeting the real and the current security requirements. But that's just one side of the story, right? The other side is that we as Siemens, we are manufacturing ourselves. We know exactly how important security is. And therefore, what we're doing is when we're creating a product, we are testing ourselves in our own manufacturers. So we know exactly how this product is in that requirements, what is necessary for a secure production. And after that, after gaining a lot of experiences, we provide the products, but also our expertise to our customers. And I think this is something which the customers really appreciate about Siemens, talking about an eye-to-eye level from manufacturer to manufacturer.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that.
We also advise our customers about the vulnerabilities on time. So last quarter, we were 100% of the times earlier in the information towards the customers about vulnerabilities than any independent agency or investigator out there, which means for us to provide information upfront and on time means for our customers, they can apply the needed measures faster than others, right? So we are very committed to providing the information about vulnerabilities, and we are very proud that we are doing that on time.
I can imagine how
100% of the time last quarter. We are measuring that all the time. Yes.
Speed is of the essence here.
Absolutely, yes.
Be faster than the rest.
Speed and transparency, right?
Right. Now, Christoph, I know that there's another thing that is also very important to you. Since Natalia mentioned the supply chain security before, this goes hand in hand with trust, right? This is also close to your heart?
Not only to mine, because, trust is so precious because there's not enough of it, right? And establishing trust in digital products is even harder. And people often say the S in IoT stands for security. And it might be cynical, but it's true. Yeah, it's in many IoT products there is so less security and trustworthiness that you could say that trust in IoT is broken. And we see that how legislation and standardization reacts to that. So from Brussels, from Berlin, more legislation, more push in standardization is done towards trustworthy systems. And we as industry should not complain about that, but see that this is a more formal way to establish and to utter the expectations of our customers. So they want trustworthy products and they deserve it. Digital trust should be the classic promise of quality and good quality for digital products. And we as industry must deliver it, right? And as it is, as digitalization is quite difficult and very abstract, as I said earlier, so that even establishing the trusted computing base of products is harder than ever, because in multi-party products, the responsibility for the quality is spread over so many shoulders. And this is why we have to team up. Why we have to team up with partners to secure the supply chain, the security in the supply chain, and the trustworthiness of the supply chain.
So once again, co-collaboration, and I guess the Charter of Trust comes into play right here, right?
Yeah, we are partners, and we work very closely, Christoph and myself,
right,
to achieve that.
Exactly. And what does that role play for your business, the role of the Charter of Trust?
I think it's a great community with the members and with Bosch as one of the members. I think the principles like security by default or security by design, this is essential for our customers, right? That right at the product development side, we're starting to integrate security. And I think these are principles with all of our partners and all of our members who really gets confidence to our customers altogether. And I think this makes an even more secure world and connecting the IT to the OT world. So I think it's great.
This is also why Bosch also joined the Charter of Trust at the beginning of this year. Was it this year?
Yeah. It's the process was a little bit longer, but trust is really essential to us. It's in our genes. The founder of Bosch, Robert Bosch, once said, "I rather lose money than trust." And so this.
What did you say? Sorry.
I would rather lose money than
okay.
trust,
right?
Because trust is so important, and this is why when we started working deeply in AI, we thought about the risk of AI as well, and built in 2019 this Digital Trust Forum, to build trust anchors for digital, and developed with partners with Siemens and VDE, then a trust label for AI. But then we discovered that we should place it on more shoulders, and this is why we then joined the Charter of Trust. And now this is an activity which is driven by and with the Charter of Trust to make it an industry standard.
So, Natalia, from Siemens' perspective, what is your expectation for Bosch as its digital trust forum joining the charter?
So we relied on the different expertises that we have. In this case, Bosch was already very, very strong in the use of artificial intelligence for cybersecurity purpose as well. Therefore, we cooperate very strong together, and what we are aiming to do is to speed up the implementation of cybersecurity in the digital world, so that the society can trust in that digital world, and that speed up the digitalization of society, because we all know it's only with the aims of digitalization that we will be able to solve the biggest problems of the world. One of them, the climate change, and that's our aim. Our aim is as well to provide the SMEs, the small and medium enterprises, the means to deploy cybersecurity. So everything we produce in the Charter of Trust is public, is to be looked from any other companies. No one has to pay anything for what we are doing in the Charter of Trust. So, and we do believe that this is the way to speed up. You cannot afford to reinvent the wheel in the cybersecurity, not when the hackers are so fast and so smart.
Absolutely. Do you see it the same way, Christoph?
Absolutely, and we have to establish patterns in action, patterns in establishing patterns in dealing with complex topics, because since it's so abstract, you can't wait until everybody understands it. And so pattern and formalized procedures are helping, and standards in the supply chain, so that everybody has to comply and to perform sanity checks in a way. This is the only way to try to keep some supply chain risks in check, because supply chain risks are today the highest probability of attacks for larger companies, being attacked for larger companies, because the attacker looks always to the weakest part of the chain, and this might be upstream in the supply chain. You can have the best processes ever and hardening your systems. If you have a component which comes from someone who pays less attention to security, then voila.
Is that one of the biggest challenges you might also have, is basically to get everybody on board, everybody on the same page, everybody to understand how crucial this is, how important it is, once again, that it might be worse to lose trust than money in
an ideal world, you have this 100%. And we are trying to approach this 100% by Charter of Trust, by trying to spread the word, by trying to get people to comply with those standards and with the procedures to make the systems trustworthy, to do the sanity checks and everything.
Is this also a question of mindset, or where does this come from?
Absolutely. I think it's all about a mindset to get it to the people. And I think this is something which we continuously need to talk also to the customer, that it's not just buying the products, not just about services. It's about getting the people working in the company to sharpen that it is a matter, right? That cybersecurity needs to be at the top of their head whenever they are entering the company, right?
And looking ahead, if we look into the future, let's say, 5 years, 10 years from now, if I look at the numbers I read at the beginning, just some fun facts, basically, thinking about 300% increase in cyber attacks since the pandemic hit, a cyber attack every 39 seconds, the cost of a data breach, once again, on average, 3.9 million, I think, is worldwide. I think the US is leading. That's the most costly country, so to say. If a data breach happens, is over 4 million. Where are we heading? Is this going to continue to soar? are we? I mean, that's so hard to say, probably.
It is a good business. So there it's a good business for them. So it's a business.
Somebody's living a lavish life.
It's a business model. So if you think about a ransomware attack, for instance, they will try to get money so that they decrypt the data that they have encrypted first. And if you don't pay and the companies don't pay, they will publish later that information and will try to sell that information in the darknet or something. So it is a very profitable business. So, and Christoph mentioned before that that the more difficult it is for them to pursue their goal, which is at the end of the day is to make money, then better for you because you make their business more expensive to do and you reduce their profitability. And back to your question, Chris, I think we still will see like the next 5 to 10 years an increase, and then probably will stabilize, and it will be always there as long as it is a business, correct? And the digital world is full of vulnerabilities. I mean, the vulnerabilities are part of the digital world, and actually you don't have to remove every vulnerability. You just have to manage that, and that you can do better with technology. So we invest a lot in that technology. Bosch, Siemens is doing this. We have our head of cybersecurity innovation sitting there. So
right
you might want to talk with Andreas.
Right.
He's doing the wonderful patching on the fly. So I think, yes, it's going to increase the next 5 to 10 years. Companies will be more aware because this is what's happening. The cyber attacks are creating awareness on companies, unfortunately. And third, technology is going to develop and will help to deal with the problem.
Being in the positions you are and dealing with cybersecurity on a daily basis, last question, just a personal question. Like I said at the beginning, we all, we take out our cell phones, our smartphones, we, start working with them on a daily basis from the moment we get up until probably the moment we go to bed. Do you things differently than the average person, let's say I would do, simply because you know a bit more and you're like, I'm not gonna do that, I'm not gonna do that, or how do you approach the regular when it comes to mobile and maybe also internet usage?
I mean, on a personal level, for example, today, when I do some banking, right, at the hotel, I switched off, for example, the wireless LAN. And just using LTE, right, for example, because I know how critical it is to work with wireless LAN in a hotel,
like
right?
open networks,
specifically with the banking topics, right? So this is from a personal perspective where I'm maybe thinking different than other persons.
All right, thank you for that. How about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And as I said earlier, so this information imbalance is what makes you vulnerable. And the more you know, the more safely you can behave and can avoid risks. For instance, I do not consider my phone as a trusted device. It's more or less a public device which I have bought, but I cannot protect it.
Interesting.
And so if you have this mindset and if you know the risks, then you can behave accordingly. It doesn't mean that you are not vulnerable, but you can try to manage the risks.
Got it. Natalia, anything from your side?
Well, they mentioned that already, and I agree with them. Now, for the companies and for the industry, manage the risks and use the cloud, use the technology, digitalize this war, because we need you guys to do that so that we can solve the problems of this war. So if you manage the risks, all will be fine.
Sounds good. I'd like to thank you all for joining us. Time is up. Natalia, Christoph, and Michael, continued success and keep us safe, all right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A big round of applause here for our cybersecurity panel. Have a great day.